Hey, what's up, guys? Today or tonight, I am gonna try to get some star pictures. I have a couple spots that I'd like to try out. I'd try it out. So anyway, let's go. Alright guys, well it looks like I just took a photo when I thought I was talking to myself or talking the whole time, so that'll take you off really quick. But here we are down at the depot in Tell City. So right here, as you can see, I have a nice little sunset going on. GoPro's probably making some color adjustments. This is the train I'd like to get. These trains are going to be carrying some passengers, hopefully before too long, after this crisis is over or whenever they lift the ban, that type of thing. So it's kind of a new thing to the area, sort of. We've done it before a couple times, but this should be pretty interesting. So my goal is, you can see we already have one little star hanging out up there. Obviously the sun's still up. I just set up my gear because I thought you guys were watching, but you weren't. To really show the sky, and I will get into that here in a second, because one of my goals for all of this is to really capture the Milky Way, and I don't know if that's going to happen, but because I don't think it comes out till very late. But anyway, we're going to give that a shot. So I'm probably going to take a couple shots here. I'd really like to do some star trails, so you know, whichever way they're moving, that type of thing, and then a regular one with just some stars when hopefully it gets pretty black. The problem is that the moon is out and it is shining brightly, so usually that's not good for star photography, because usually you want it as dark as possible. Now if we go over here, I need my open tripod. Alright guys, so what you have here is a Sony A7iii. It has the pancake Sony lens. I don't think it's a kit lens, but you can buy a pancake lens. It's real smushed, basically a prime. And then on top of that, we have, I think it's like the VCL02 or something like that. And it's supposed to basically expand it up to like 14 millimeters. Problem is that the aperture only gets down to about 2.8, so we don't get to take in as much light as we like. But yeah, so the tripod is called an open tripod, and it is fairly good, and yeah, it's a decent little rig. Lens definitely on the side. When I watched some reviews on YouTube a while back, it said there was some vignetting, I think, or maybe some like pixel blurring, and it does happen. So it's probably not the best lens, but I think for those of you who are scrolling through Facebook and say, hey, that's a neat photo, I think it's gonna be okay without like further what is it called, investigation. Yeah, so anyway, this is the camera right here. I don't have the settings into it yet. I'm gonna wait just a little bit, but what I am doing is I'm gonna try to make this as level as possible. Well, level as possible here. I know you can't see that, but on my bubble, because you don't want obviously a crooked shot. The thing with these shots is they take quite a while sometimes, unless you just have a really good lens that can just pick up everything. They're kind of one of those special things. So yeah, we got one little star out, and we are going to take a look at the app here in a second, and we're gonna just wait. Okay, let me turn that down. It's definitely a pleasant experience. So while we're waiting, I just wanted to show you guys this real quick. Let me see if I can hold my phone and do the same thing. I know I've done some bad things with this. Okay, so what we have is, this is called the Skyview app, and it is awesome if you are looking into doing some type of astrological photography, or even if you're interested in the stars. It's literally like an AR type thing. Like you can see, well, I guess you can, I have the plants enlarged, or the planets enlarged, not plants. So when I take a shot, this, you know, if I took it right now, assuming it was pitch black, that's what I would get. Okay, so that's how that works. Now, in this app, we should be able to search for the Milky Way, and it's going to go to the galactic center. Now, if I follow this arrow all the way down, so if I follow this arrow, you can see that this is the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Now, this little blue dot, that will tell you what its trajectory and what time it is. And if you notice, at about 5 o'clock in the morning, the Milky Way would be right over that. So, guess what? I'm not staying here till 5 o'clock in the morning. But I got stuff to do. Wow, this is pretty interesting, because that is really something I want to get. It looks like I'm gonna have to plan that one out at some time, but I will be able to get some of these stars whenever it gets darker. You know, these are obviously going to move. You can pick on any of them and it'll show you the trajectory of where they'll be in a little bit. So that is the app. It is called, let's see really quick, I just want to make sure I got this right. Skyview. If you don't have it and you're interested in this, I definitely recommend it if you're trying to get a specific thing. Like I said, I really want to get some galaxy stuff, but I'm kind of just playing around at this point. Whenever I get shooting, I'll bring this up and show you what kind of stars we might get. So hopefully we'll get shooting soon. I plan to take one of this angle, but then one of that angle, because the Hoosier Southern Railroad train, that's kind of our train in Tell City. So hoping to get some cool stuff. The only problem is there's two lights right there going to be shining on it the whole time. So that backlight is definitely going to affect everything that I do here. So we're going to figure that out. So it is, let's see, 8:41 at night. I am down here at the depot. I'm gonna try to take this picture, but I want you to look at that. If you notice, there are some glares and other things like that. Now the key to doing a star photography thing is long exposures for the most part. Either that or take in a lot of light and then like crop it out somehow. But nonetheless, that's going to be difficult. Now, so as you can see behind me, there are two like LED lights that are super bright. The other thing is that right over there, you can see a little hint of glow, and that would be the moon. Needless to say, I did not do my research, and there is a full moon out, which makes it also difficult because it lights up everything. So I think I have, using the star app that I showed you earlier, I think I have maybe a couple hours before that gets into my frame, which is about, oh, it disappeared on me, about right there. Now this GoPro is actually wider than my screen. If I show you real quick, and let me turn up the ISO. That's what's nice about these cameras. You can see that's full bias, so you would never do that for the most part. But anyway, that's the edge. So GoPro edge. So I'll get a little bit more on the GoPro, I think. So you can kind of see, you can see a little spot over there, but those lights are really bad now. So those are just some things that I have ran into tonight. I got excited, probably ran out the door too quick, but nonetheless, we're gonna get this somehow. So yeah, here we go. First of all, you should be on a tripod. I don't know if you can see that or not. You should be on a tripod, and your lens should be, well, whatever. The biggest aperture that you can get, the better, because the more light it's going to let in. With the A7 III, I have a little bit more leeway. If you were doing this at night and you have an A7 III, you can actually, oh shoot, I'm sorry, I got in the wrong mode there. You can actually turn your ISO all the way up and see what the composition of your image is. I know that's a little bit blurry, but you can see the composition of your image before you actually take the shot. Now with that being said, you also want to use a manual focus, because it's just, you're going to get sharper images that way, and what you're really focusing on is the star. So that's that piece. So there's a couple methods to do this. One is to do a long exposure. The other one is to take a lot of smaller exposures and then stack them up, basically in a software called I think it's called Star Stacks, and it will make trails for you. You can do trails organically, basically, but we're not going to be able to here because it is just way too bright. So I'm going to do my best to show you. I'm using, my aperture is at 2.8. My ISO is going to be, I'm not sure yet. I'm just going to try. Usually I just start at 100 just for fun, and then if I make my shutter speed, let me find that dial. If I make my shutter speed something, maybe even if it's like 10 seconds, hit the button, wait 10 seconds. You can also, with the A7 III, you can do this with your phone, so you don't touch the camera, and sometimes that makes it better. So if we go back and preview, this is what we got. I'm sorry, I know that you guys probably can't see that, So this is what we got with a 10-second exposure at 100 ISO. The good news is this is somewhat dim, and if I had some brighter stars, they might show up. But for the most part, that is honestly too bright for a really nice star effect. So I'm going to see if I can, I don't really know what these lines mean, but I'm going to see if I can go down to 50 ISO and then a 10-second shutter speed. Okay, so we're just going to preview that. I think I'm getting some banding because you can see there's one star right there. I'm thinking the banding is actually caused by the camera. There's another star there. There's just not a whole lot. I mean, usually on a night like this, you would be getting. See, there's the moon. It's starting to come up. It's pretty big right now. Maybe I'll just end up taking pictures of the moon. I don't know. We got lights over here. Yep. We're kind of screwed. Okay guys, so update. I think the last one was at 8:41. It's now 9 o'clock. And if you look, no stars. But when I go to my camera, you can probably barely see this. You notice that maybe there's some banding right here, and there's one itty bitty star up here. But if I zoom in, there are itty bitty points of light. Now, my thinking is that I can actually take these pictures and then edit them in Lightroom and bring out those points of light more, and hopefully I could do that and then bring it into star stacks and make a good thing. So I'm going to give this one shot. I'm by no means sure that it's going to work, but I'm going to let it run for, well, I don't know however many pictures it'll take, but I'm going to let it run for at least an hour, or roughly around that, or maybe 30-40 minutes, and we'll see what happens. So alright, I will see you guys soon. Also, I wanted to show you guys, or tell you guys, my settings on this. So I'm on manual focused. My white balance, I had this messed up the whole time. I'm not going to put it on auto, but I am going to put it on something with a cool temperature. I think I might just actually pick auto. Usually with auto, you might get some different results. Let's actually check it now. Usually you don't want to do auto, but these are desperate times, apparently. Well, that does make a difference. I'm not having as much banding. Now, this is what I'm worried about, right? Well, you can't see it. I'm sorry. Oops, and I just hit the record button. Alright, so these are my settings. Okay, so I'm doing a 10-second shutter speed, 2.8 f-stop. ISO is at 100, because if I go any higher, it is going to just basically catch all the light from the outside. So if you are in a lighting nightmare like this is what happens. So these are the images that's going to come back, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to go into post and shrink that down, get it just to where I can only see the points of light, then pull that into star stacks and probably bring it back in. So yeah, it's different everywhere. Also, the other thing is in your function, you want to make sure that you are set over here to the drive mode, and just do to the remote. We're going to hit this continuous shooting, and then we just slide this over. I don't know why it didn't do that before. Alright guys, I am letting this thing go for like 40 minutes. I'm trying to get it so that you can see me maybe a little bit. I'm in about minute 20, so it's shot about 110 pictures or 20 pictures, something like that. And then they'll all be put together on star stacks, which I can definitely show you how to do. It's getting cold down here, which is okay, and I have to ride my Onewheel back to my house, which is probably a little bit more than a mile or something. Yeah, we're about halfway through. Not really sure how it's going to turn out, and the way I'm looking at it now, I can actually see some stuff popping out, but honestly they could be planes or whatever. Who knows? Hopefully it turns out great, but we won't know till later. Alright, that concludes our little night shot today. We're going to be heading back. I'm turning this on just in case something happens, and okay guys, so let's talk a little bit about what happened today. So we went down to the depot, we took some pictures, some shots, set it up, rode the Onewheel down there, came back around 10ish, that's what I think I got back, probably a 15-minute ride or something. Anyways, obviously during the GoPro footage you heard me say a couple times, I'm not sure if this is going to work, and I'm still not sure if it's going to work, but I am going to show you my process for doing this. And I may not show you the whole thing because it may be too long and there's a lot of thinking involved, and I don't think you want to watch me think, but I'm just going to flip over to this screen here, and if you can, boom. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. So this is what we get. At ISO was at 100, 16 millimeter, and f2.8 for 10 seconds. That's what we did. As I showed you guys, we had a lot of this, and then behind me there was a lot of this. So I went and actually took a lower picture to try to get rid of this highlight, and unfortunately it's not. The only way I can really get rid of this is probably just to cover the light up with a trash bag, and we all know that the city probably is not going to like that. So anyway, let's get started in here. Before I do anything, for the most part, basically all these pictures are going to be the same. We have from this one all the way through here, there is 140 pictures, I think. Now that some of these, if you see here, they're popping up on my screen slowly. Some of these don't count, but this was kind of like the last one. Okay, you can see a little bit of the stars popping out, but which I would like to show you here in a second. What something a little extra about that. Let's delete these other ones. So we're just gonna do that. delete. Yep, don't need them. Okay, those were just test photos. So let's go back to the beginning. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is hit auto. And immediately you can see that we got a big color boost. You know, and go back and forth and kind of see what I'm really focused on. We know that this is fine. This train is definitely going to be fine. Our concern is obviously these stars. Now, you may not be able to see it, but I can see some of them popping out. Okay, so what we're going to try to do is get more of that popping out. Now I want to show you guys something. This is actually a spot on my lens that didn't get cleaned off, which sucks. Okay, but back to this. These are stars, and they, remember, we're taking 10-second intervals, and that in that 10 seconds, this is how far it moved. And I don't care if you believe me or not. I swear that's exactly what's going on. So if you want to get that motion blur, and I think there is a mathematical way to do that, to figure out how quick they're moving, you can do that. So view. Okay, so let's get back to this. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to play around with our contrast. What we really want to do, and I mean I will crush it completely, like don't be surprised, but because here's my goal before you think I'm nuts, is that, like I said, this is fine. This did not move that whole entire time. There was no moving parts. Like I said, we want to get this part to show up. We can, in post, get this part as neat as how we want it, and then bring this back in as the way it is, but we still have contained those stars without affecting this image. So that's what we're going to try first. Like I said, I'm going to put on this auto thing. I'm going to, you can see that if I increase the exposure quite a bit, that those stars actually do pop up, and over time they will move, but we obviously don't want that kind of crazy of an image. We kind of just want to, we're going to play around here for a little bit. We're going to bring down highlights. We're going to bring down our shadows. We're going to leave that alone. We're going to try to just get those things to pop out the best we can. My screen's a little dirty, so it's a little difficult for me right now. Texture is definitely going to be a big one. You can see just by doing that a little bit that these guys are popping out hardcore. So if we look up here, you'll see, you know, green and blue and a little yellowish. That's what we want. So if we actually just come up here and focus and kind of figure out what is going to make the best thing. Now I realize that the rest of the image right now is probably pretty messed up. This is not by any means what we want. Now, is it kind of cool? Yeah, it's kind of cool, but it is not by any means what we want. But I will show you basically how we're going to fix this. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to, we're just going to leave this. Actually, we're going to, there's this glow here, and basically what was going on is there was some car lights behind there, and it was kind of foggy, and I'm just going to see if I can bring that down a little bit. And that's just, I'm just not going to worry about it for the sake of this for right now. I'm always curious to see how things are going to turn out. I know it's not going to take too long to do this. So what I'm going to do is click this, and then I'm going to hit copy, Control C. It's going to say copy edit settings. Control C copies, and then Control Shift V on a Windows will copy it to all of them. So I'm going to hit yeah. So now I want to show you something. Well, actually, it's pasting all the settings to these different images. and then I will show you what will happen after that. So you can see up there in the bar, this is how long it's taken to apply those settings. I honestly think we might end up with a good image. I'm kind of crossing my fingers at this point because I was really kind of banking on it. What we are going to do is we are going to take this first one, and then we're going to take this last one. Well, technically first and then last. We're going to go ahead and export it. We're going to export full size. You can pick whatever you want, obviously. We should probably, this is where things get a little bit difficult, because if you're not happy with this, it's probably not going to work very well. But here we go. We're going to do this anyway. Export photos. I'm just going to go to my D drive, not my D drive, my videos. Videos, where are you at? This PC, videos, and then we're going to go to YouTube. Star photography, depot train, images. I'm going to call this star only. And I'm going to hit select, and it's going to pump them out. Now, while it's doing that, I'm going to show you what's next. Sorry, this is what you're looking for. This little purple icon with a star on it. That's what you want. So this is where we're going to drop all those images in and see if we can get some star trails. I'm not really sure how this is going to go, but just keep in mind that most of the time you're doing this on a tripod. You have some stuff in here. Basically, it's just going to go through each image, take the like stuff and put it with that. Speed up. Okay. All right, we are back. We have our photos. What you can do is you can drag and drop, or you can go up here to see open images. And you can see that I had already done one a couple of weeks ago or a week ago or something. We're gonna find our pictures. We're gonna go to videos, and I have it in videos because I'm making a YouTube video. That's why it's in there. And if we come down here and select the first and last one, hit open, there is our stars. Now, what I want you to notice is that these are bright. That is definitely a good sign. We have something here. Granted, we may have been able to bring this out more, but we're going to find out what happens when you do this. So we're going to go over to comment mode. I want long trails personally. I'm just going to push it up a little bit. When we're ready, we're going to hit this button, and here we go. This is kind of interesting because I'm not sure if this is the actual look. There's a plane, unfortunately, and another plane. I'm not sure if this is So this gives you an idea of what kind of stars, basically what they looked like. Let me see here. Oops. We're gonna try this again. So if we look in here, we can see that we get a bunch of different stuff. Now, this basically what happens is because this star had a bunch of different colors. Basically, this star had a bunch of different colors, and it's kind of weird, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. A bunch of these, I guess rays or whatever you want to call them. Which is honestly, this kind of image is what I wanted to begin with. The question is, for me, is where did some of this stuff come from? Because I don't remember seeing those stars. Those don't look like stars, but who knows? It almost looks like lightning bugs. They're kind of difficult. So anyway, after we're done with that, we come over here to okay, we come over here to save. Alright, go to videos, YouTube, star, depot, finish. Now the problem with this is that you took all the raw data that was in there is gone. So we're going to bring it back into Lightroom, unfortunately. And granted, we do not have that raw data. We might be able to mess with it a little bit. Okay, where did it add it? It said it added one photo, and this is one thing I hate about Lightroom. It just puts stuff wherever it wants to, and no one ever knows where it goes. Go back into star photos. Either put it at the end. There we are. Okay, so there's our image. All right, so there's a couple things that we got to clean up. All right, we're just gonna have to edit in Photoshop. Oh man, guys, I apologize. So this has turned out to be a little bit more than usual. It's been a while since I've been in here. It's so much nicer to open up those in whatchamacallit, but ungroup. Yes, ungroup. Well, let's take our stars and we're going to edit. In Photoshop. Normally I do not like doing this at all because I like editing with the raw and doing all this stuff, but it looks like at this point we don't have a choice. Oh, bummer. Alright, so we're just gonna select all the sky. duplicate. And then we are going to come over here. We're going to mask it. Drag that below. Seems I got the mask on the wrong spot. Okay. And there is our nasty image. You can tell because of this. Bad, 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 bad. Looks like somebody just chopped it up. So here is my other idea. So I like this, but I do not like that. So one thing we're going to do is do our select and mask radius, smart radius. And we're going to pray that this comes in and saves our butt. And it looks like it does. If we come over here, we can definitely see that it makes a huge difference. I'm going to up the smooth a little bit. Okay, I don't know what just happened. I'm trying to zoom in over here and it's not working for me. This is the pieces that I was looking at for the most part. I just want to make sure that nothing is left off. I like this. Anyway, we're gonna leave it like that. We're gonna have, since we're in here in Photoshop, we're gonna go ahead and band-aid this crap up. Basically, I'm just gonna boop, gone, and then we're going to get rid of this. And that one's okay, but they get rid of that one. So there we go. There is our image. The next thing I'm going to do is actually take it back into Lightroom. And I think... Oops, I am in the wrong folder here. YouTube, Star, Depot, Finish, Final. You guys ever have a habit of calling stuff final and then you have like so many finals? It's just annoying. So we're going to Lightroom. There's the two pictures. One's kind of regular and the other one's like, oh my gosh, like that's a crazy train. Really what I'm trying to do here is make it realistic. And to be honest, this is, I mean, it is a realistic image. It's just I'm doing a little bit more editing to it. So we're going to go back in here to File, Browse, and Final. We're going to pull that in here real quick. It's probably not going to add it. Hope it is going to add it. Okay. And we're going to decrease that exposure. So when you do that, though, sometimes it can be pretty difficult to get along these edges. And I know that there's probably a better way to do that, but I don't know it at the time. It's just every pixel is so different and everything, and you never know. Now, one thing I want to try while we're here is making this sky more of a, instead of a blue, making it more of a black. Reason is because when I imagine space, it's always a lot blacker than what people see. So I'm going to take this contrast up. I'm going to get rid of these highlights and whites that I had from the previous thing. Boost the saturation up, sharpness, noise, no. Texture kind of helps a little bit. Dehaze is one of my favorites. It's weird, but I'm going to bring this temperature down. That's a nice blue sky, but I would like it to be black, to be honest. So if I come over here and just jump into my blacks, I can get it to be black, but it doesn't look good. So we're gonna leave it. We're just gonna leave it. Actually, we're gonna take that back for sure. Now the last part that I think I'm gonna do with this image is do something with this train. And really, I think for the most part, it's there. It's just, there we go, okay. I don't know, I feel like it needs something. I'm not sure what it is. But it's just, maybe it's that, you know, that's kind of cool because of the cool colors kind of bouncing off of it. That's what I like about Lightroom, is it's so fluid. I mean, and maybe bring down that highlight. I want to reduce, I can't get rid of that highlight, but I want to reduce the how much attention it's drawing. There's that. And really, sometimes I just go through here and I play with every setting, and it's just like, sometimes it works and sometimes it's a massacre, but you get somewhere with it. It's just a very interesting image. So, unfortunately, well, I mean, this is a good picture. I mean, it's okay. It's not spectacular. It wasn't what I was wanting, but it's okay. And I really, honestly, I might just crop that off a little bit. I hate doing that because you lose pixels, but that little piece was so unnecessary. But yeah, I mean, this is basically what sort of what I was wanting. I didn't get it all the way there. And then these star trails, I wish I could have done something a little bit cooler with those, but that's kind of what you get when you have so much light that's around and it's not dark, and it is what it is. Apologize for this going for so long. I really didn't think it would. I'm going to try to cut out as much as I can to still give you guys the idea of what I was doing. So anyway, with that, I will see you guys later. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, or anything you need to do. Let people know. I'm trying to grow this thing. This is really for fun for the most part. I have some YouTuber friends and I kind of want to join in the fun. So anyway, back to the train, and I think we're going to call that quits. I think it's good. I'm going to send it off to them. Hopefully they like it. It's just for fun anyway, so hopefully you're just like, ooh, ah. And then also I'm going to put my copyright down here because, you know, obviously we've put 4 hours of work into this thing. It's almost 11 o'clock. So I'll see you guys later. Subscribe.